Good morning. So this week for Tidbits, we have kind of a jumble of different things that we want to take care of. And maybe start out a new tradition, I guess is the way we want to call it. First off, we have moved the website to the new server, so we're hoping that things are going to go much smoother. We have already seen some good positive things happening, so we're really pleased about that. And I'm trying to think, was there anything else we really needed to say about that?
No, everything else is it's gonna work the same.
It's gonna work the same, better. So it's just in the background. But what we thought we would do each week is that we're gonna test the waters here for a little bit. Every week when we do our tidbits, we're gonna take a notion that we have on the website and we're gonna put it at a discount for you guys. So what we're gonna do this week are machine needles. So Schmetz are our favorite guys. We've always used them, had very good luck with them. And they do come in different sizes and styles. The universals, which are these guys, and I think we have 4 different sizes on the website.
Yes.
So what
no,
you...
3.
3?
I think 3 in the...
60s,
it doesn't
70s,
matter.
80s, and 90s.
Yep, 4. You're right. You
4.
just did it.
Okay.
Do I have to get up close?
If you don't mind.
Oh, I was sitting down.
I know, you were comfies. I'll put them for you closer to you. When you look at needles, just for kind of a reference here, on the bottom you can see that there's a 70/10 and there's an 80/12. And what that is, it's the metric and then the Americanized number. I mean, we're all used to like the singers, the 10s, the 12s, the 40s, whatever. That's what the second number is, and then the 70 would be the metric number on the front. So usually for general piecing, the 70 or the 80 works really well. So that's just, the universal is just a good general piecing needle. And then you go, another needle that...
Wait, back up, Marty. You didn't talk about the 60/8.
Oh, the 60/8. So that's, as the number goes higher, the needle gets bigger. So a 60/8 is going to be the smaller needle, and that works super good for applique. Whether you're using like an embroidery thread or a clear monofilament, the 16 needle, I mean, you hardly ever see any holes or anything with that needle. It's a little bit more delicate, but if you're doing applique, you're not going 90 miles an hour anyways. So then, as I said, then as the number goes up, the needle gets bigger. So a 70 is going to be bigger than a 60, then it's going to go 80. A 90 is going to be a hunkin' needle. So that's going to be more for if you're going through a huge amount of thicknesses, it's a stronger needle, that kind of a thing. Did that do good?
Yep, that was better. Okay.
All right. So then we're going to move on to the next needles that we have, which are the jeans needles. And everybody thinks, oh, jeans, they're going to be big needles.
No, that they're just men jeans.
Right, to men jeans. And that's not what they're for, because the jeans needles come in the same sizes as the universals. They come in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. Again, smaller needle going to a bigger needle. But the jeans needles are manufactured so they're just a little bit stronger. So the reason why we carry these, I really like them for machine quilting. If you're doing free motion quilting, that needle, even in a 70, is going to take the torque better than a universal needle.
Are they smoother too?
They're a little smoother. The eye is smoother, so that if you're working with a little bit more delicate threads, that it works well. But to me, it just takes you moving the fabric in different directions. It's going to take it without breaking a little bit better. So that one we have that one in multiple sizes too. So you're going to get the 70, the 80, the 90, and that guy. And then the last one that we're having on is, and this is the chrome needles that Schmetz have. And what these are is that they are just a super fine polish on the needle.
Not a fine needle, just finely polished.
Finely polished. So the eye is highly polished. They take, if you're doing like fast stuff, they won't heat up, so you get that heat resistant aspect to the needles. But then what we like, the reason why we're carrying just the one size, the 100/16, is that I found it worked really well with using it with a wool thread. So if I'm doing wool applique by machine, then I go to that 100/16 and I have no problem with my threads. It threads very nicely and it stitches beautifully, because you've got to have an eye that's bigger to handle the bigger thread.
And we've also had people use it for when they're doing the I can't think of
the baskets and things like that. Or if you're doing handbags, you really want
handbags.
that.
Or what is that when we do the cord, the clothesline?
Oh, the rugs.
The rugs, yeah.
The rugs.
What are they called? I can't think of the name.
The jelly roll rugs.
Thank you. Yes. Yikes.
The jelly roll rugs. Yeah, so they work really well for that too, because again, you're going through so many thicknesses of fabric plus the thicknesses of the batting that you've got to have a strong plus slash, but you also don't want it huge so that you make the smallest hole possible. So anyway, so these guys are all going to be, all of these machine needles are going to be on sale this week on our website. So it will start as soon as the tidbits go out, and then the sale will end at Monday night, midnight.
6 o'clock. No, 6 o'clock.
Oh, 6 o'clock. Okay.
6 o'clock Monday night.
So 6 o'clock on Monday night. So anytime you order those needles, and we're also doing free shipping on these guys, because we're not going to charge you $5 flat shipping fee on something so small. And you can order multiples. That's up to you. I mean, these things don't rot. You can stick them in your arsenal just to have on hand, because we all need to change our needles a little bit more than we already do.
Oh, I know. When was the last time you changed your needle?
When it broke.
Yep. That is the standard answer.
It's just like a who's on first, what's on second kind of philosophy.
When it broke.
When do you change your needle? When it breaks. No, you need to change a little bit more than that. But anyways, whenever you start into a big project, change your needle. It's really not that expensive, guys. And we're giving to you on sale. So anyways, what we're going to segue now into is a little bit of machine quilting information. When I was doing Sophie's Garden, which is one of the new block of the months, which take a look at it. It's such a pretty quilt.
Well, do we have the new picture with the quilting on the website yet?
I don't know.
Well, you need to bring it down.
Yeah, I just finished the binding. I'm so excited about it. It's actually done now. But yeah, we'll update the picture on there. But I had so much fun, and I just did it on a regular traditional machine, so it was no big deal. But what I did is when I was quilting that, I kind of did some informational things. So we're going to segue into that, and then hope you get some good information out of it. And we'll see you next week. Bye. Good morning. I'm going to be on the back side of the camera today, just because I was starting to dive into a big quilting project. This is Sophie's Garden, one of the block of the months that we're doing. And I thought, sometimes people are a little bit afraid of doing machine quilting, diving in for that first larger projects. I mean, table runners, toppers, that's great. But you can see this one's a little bit bigger. So I wanted to just kind of give you ideas on how you can get started and what I do before I start a project like this. So first thing that I do is, and I have a pretty sweet setup here, I will have to admit, but if you have your machine like sitting on top of a table, what you really want to do is build it up so that you have this nice flat surface here. I mean, if you don't have to be dragging the quilt up and over to slide into or to feed it into your machine, that is best. So whatever you got to do, build tables around, wherever it's sitting, do books, anything that will help support the weight of the machine. A lot of the times, even if you can find like a nice sturdy desk, you can do a cutout as long as you have it on a table. The machine can sit on a shelf underneath. And then these inserts, they make for basically any type of machine. All you need to know is the model number on your machine, and you can get it. It's a very standard, it's called a Parsons insert. And you can contact any machine dealer for any of those kinds of things. So what I did first is I cleaned and oiled my machine. Yay. I mean, I'm diving into this. I don't want to have my machine go ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk as I'm starting. So, and then the next thing I did is I got out the 2 feet that I'm going to need. I'm going to need my walking foot, and I'm going to need my free motion foot. Those are the two guys that I know that I'm going to use. I've also put into my machine, because I know that I'm going to be doing some free motion quilting, I put in an 80-20 jeans needle. Now everybody thinks jeans needles are huge needles, and they're not. They're just basically built sturdier, so they take that torque of machine or free motion quilting a little bit better. But the 80 needle is still, not this huge crowbar that you're trying to push through your project. So I've got those already. Now, as far as bobbin thread, this is something you really need to kind of pay attention to. As you can see, there's quite a bit of light on the top, but unfortunately I picked a little bit. I mean, I like picking a busy background just because if you do make oops, then it's not going to show as much. So I was looking at the threads that I have, and when I do a project like this, I actually like a lighter 60 weight thread because you can fit a boatload on a bobbin, which means you're not changing it out quite as often. This is not going on a bed, it's going to be more of a wall quilt, so it's not like the slightly lighter weight thread is going to deteriorate over time, or it's going to not take the use and abuse of a quilt that's going on your bed. So when I was doing this, I was looking at the 60 weight threads that I have, and I have a green that would have worked very nicely. But then I'm worried about, there's always that potential of pull through. And as we said, there was a lot of light on this quilt. So even though that matches better, I'm not going to go with that. What I decided on was this guy. And you can see, I mean, it's really blending in with the colors quite nice, but it's lighter. So even if there is that, you know, off chance that I get pulled through on the top, it's going to really balance off well. The other thing that you want to do is when you are putting your bobbin in, if you have a bobbin case that has this little finger on the top, you want to drop your bobbin in, thread it through like you normally would, and then you can see, let me refocus here, there's a little hole on the top in this little finger. You want to thread the thread up through there, and what that does is it puts just a little bit more tension on your bottom thread so that it really will take care of any of those sad little issues. Excuse me just one second. So this is what it will look like when you have your bobbin in your bobbin case, up through the finger, and then you're just going to insert into your machine. Now, if you have a drop-in bobbin, you don't have that option, but if you have a regular bobbin case and it has the finger, then you're good to go with having that little extra tension guidance for that. So now that I've got my bobbin thread in, I'm going to start thinking about what thread I want to use for the top. Whoops, sorry about this, making all kinds of melee here. Okay. When I start a quilt project like this, now this is all basted, but now this is basted very loosely because I had at the shop, it's a Hobbs 80/20 batting, but it was fusible. And it was one of those ones we had gotten in a sample pack, and I'm like, yeah, I just want it out of the quilting room, so I'm going to use it on this. Now, I have never used this, and I'm not huge into fusible battings. When I do use them, I like to fuse them to my backing because I can control everything on the top, wrinkles and all that, but it's very hard to control on the back if there's a wrinkle there and then you get that stitched in and it just kind of ticks you off. So, but the one thing about this batting is it's fusible on both sides. It's an 80/20 batting, but it's fusible on both sides. So what you had to do is lay down your backing, put the batting down, and then you put the top down, and then you iron it. So everything is stick together. The problem is that it was a big bat. It was a queen size bat, which this wall hanging is not that big. And when they roll it into the package, it was just a wrinkled, nasty mess. And how do you get the wrinkles out? You can't press them. So I'm not sure I'm 100% wonderfully on board with this fusible batting. Personally, I would have just taken a nice cotton batting and been done. And if that had been the case, when I do my basting, I do my pin. I like just a regular old, this is a #1 safety pin. It does not have to be the bent ones. These are all straight. The other little go-to gadget that I like when I'm using it is a quick clip. I think we've shown you how to use these guys before, but these are like miracles. It saves your finger, this finger, because when you're bringing it up, it will close it for you rather than you having to do it yourself. So this is like, if I lost this, I would cry. So if I was doing this normally without the fusible batting, I mean, I still stuck pins in it because, no offense, I am not going to trust a fusible batting to hold things securely. When I am wrangling something this big underneath my machine, it just won't happen. I'm sorry, I don't care how much they do. And if they put that much fusing on it, it's way too stiff anyways. The nice thing about this bat is that when it's washed, which I don't know if I ever will, all the fusing washes away. So that's a good thing. So if I was doing this, I mean, you can see I've got
big hands width, and I have a big hand in between my pins, I would have probably put another one in the middle here if I did not have the fusible batting. So what I would do is I would go along and I would do my bottom row, and then I do use my hand as a guide. And again, I have a bigger hand, so that would be my next row up. And then I alternate them. And you can kind of see that I did that here. So you want to go through and pin baste everything really well. I know it's a pain in the neck, but it will save you so much aggravation in the end. And then just pull them as you're stitching through. So my plan for doing the quilting on this, and you can, I mean, this quilt is done in blocks. So you can see there's a line that goes all the way up through here. There's the block. I go through with clear monofilament thread, and I do all of that, what I call skeletal stitching first. And this is the monofilament thread. You want a 0.004, and it comes in both clear and smoke. This works great in a machine. The one thing that you've got to remember is that this is my normal tension. You want to back it down. It shouldn't sound like a banjo string or anything like that. And if you were nervous about this, oh my God, I'm putting plastic thread on my quilt, that's the reason for going the 0.004. It's a very soft thread, but it will wear just like as well as a cotton thread, especially with bed quilts. I mean, I've been using them for years and I've had no complaints about it at all. A lot of even the new, and this is this is, I'm trying to remember what brand this is. Oh, I'll come back to it. Superior has a really nice monofill. Gosh, I can't remember what the brand of this is. We'll have to put it down below later. But it's not plasticky. It's not fishing line. It is, I mean, you can see it's, but the nice thing is it blends over colors. So when I'm doing in the ditch work here, I can, and you'll just never see it. And that's the whole idea behind it. And that's, well, as long as I'm here, you can see, I don't know if you can see it, maybe not. When you do in the ditch work, you want to use your walking foot, that guy right there, or something that yours will look closely to it. Now, when you look at a seam, you're going to have a low side and a high side. In other words, the seam allowance was pushed towards the brown, not towards the background. So you want to be stitching on the low side because it will really bury in there. And that, to that end, I want to do one other thing for you too. And it doesn't matter which walking foot you have, but you can see on this guy, there used to be a little bar right across there, a metal bar, and that's how most walking feet come. But what I did is I had that, well, actually Bernina now produces them this way. But even if you have a generic walking foot, you want to take and find somebody who has a Dremel, or take it to your dealer and have them do it. Get rid of that bar. Because if you think about it, if you're coming down through here and you're stitching, don't you want to see right exactly where your needle is going? And having that bar removed gives you so much more visibility. So that's my tip for the day, is to get that bar out of there, and you'll love it. It does not affect the walking foot, how it works, any of that stuff. So this is kind of my pre-work. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to do all the gridding first. And again, that helps keep the quilt basted so that you're not having to, you can remove some of the pins at that point, but it's going to hold everything securely. And then I go back in and I will do individual stuff. And then you say, well, what do you do? It just depends. I look at the block and I say, okay, on this guy, I want to do this. I can go in and I want to do close around the wool applique, and then I may do echoing around it in the background. But then down here where this is supposedly the ground, I may just grid this. The best thing that I always did when I first started doing machine quilting is I would look at quilting magazines that had machine quilting, and a lot of times they give you ideas. Look at pictures and say, oh, I really like how they did that, but don't be afraid to just try it. So this was just kind of a quick overview of how I get started, and so not to put it off any longer, I'm going to get going. So we'll see you next time. Bye.